Daddy, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Come on. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Whoa, last time I checked, I'm still hot. Real hot. Kept it dope without a pill pop. Bill Cos, steady climbing to the
Check 1 2.
Tip top, did it all up of a TikTok. Yeah, last time I checked,
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Andres Tagliaferro, but you can just call me Tags. And if you're new to the channel, we talk about all things content creation and entrepreneurship. And look, this has been a hectic last couple weeks for the fam and I. If you're new around here, I'm a 26-year-old entrepreneur building a creative agency out of Miami, Florida. I'm a husband, a father to a sweet little daughter. And man, I'm just documenting the journey of building a successful creative agency, not only doing that and making a profit, but trying to do it in one of the most competitive markets, which is Miami, Florida. If you are a creative or you're an entrepreneur and you just respect the hustle and you want to see me build this thing from making $0 to making my first million, then stick around. And I suggest right now, if you're new to the series and you haven't watched any of the building a creative agency episodes, which are the ones with the POV in the thumbnail, go check out the playlist where I have the first 5 episodes ready to go and give it a watch from beginning to now. If you're following along, you know that the last episode we went and visited Yannick, who owns La Petite Cuisine, and we pitched them on a month's worth of content and they said yes. And so I showed you a little bit about what an intro message looks like, and that's about all that we talked about. We barely touched on onboarding, and ever since then we've had to fly to Paris, flew back to Miami, flew to Dallas, Texas to shoot a couple projects, and now we are back in Miami. And in the heat of it all, I just didn't really get a chance to film this really cinematic vlog kind of vibe. So I wanted to, instead of making a cinematic vloggy type of video, just give y'all some game on what it's like to onboard a client. Because in that mumble jumble of a couple weeks, I actually closed a new client. Here's like a little bit of that kickoff call.
A big metric of ours is just output. Like, how much are we creating? Are we meeting our goals of putting out as much content as we can? There is a lot of uncontrollables in the creative space.
And the cool thing about this project is that I was able to really start a new rhythm, being a new agency here in Miami with a new standard of onboarding. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about onboarding. It sounds lame, but it's actually really cool. This is a very crucial step of working with anybody that if you perfect and you do really well, it will set you apart from about 95% of other creatives who are simply just sending a Cash App request and doing a shoot, right? If you're anything like me, you know what being a freelancer for years is like, and you've been trying to build something bigger than yourself, which is what we're doing here with Journey Tags Creative Agency. And part of that is having systems and structures in place that elevate the client experience to a whole other level. You have to make the client experience something important. And if you don't believe me, I'm actually gonna steal what this guy said in one of his reels that I thought was really cool. And he said that the difference between a 5-star hotel and a 1-star hotel isn't what they do, because at the end of the day, it's a bed under a roof for a night, right? It's how you're treated. It's the experience. When you go into a 1-star hotel, a motel, they give you keys and tell you to go, like, don't mess up the room, and that's it. When you go to a 5-star hotel, they treat you like a king. You show up, they give you a robe, they give you slippers, you know, they say you got unlimited breakfast, continental breakfast, you got everything you want to do, right? They make you feel special. The client experience is the elevator of, you know, amateur to professional. So I'm encouraging you with this onboarding process that I'm going to show you today. You're going to be one step closer to that 5-star creative agency or that 5-star experience that you want to give your clients. Because then when they feel special, they're going to tell everybody else how special they feel. And then when they see the work that you do is bomb, then they're going to tell everyone else, yo, not only is this guy really sick or really sick creative, he treated me like a king. He treated me like a queen. So let's get right to it. When it comes to onboarding, all it is you're bringing a client in to work with you, right? So there's a couple of things you do, right? And we're gonna do this chronologically from the beginning to the end of the onboarding process, right? So the first thing when somebody finds you or you reach out to somebody is you're gonna get an initial inquiry, okay? Meaning you're gonna get a DM, yo, I like your content, I like what you do, can you do it for me, right? Or you're gonna get a response to some sort of cold outreach that you sent. The first step, right, if you can and if it makes sense, is you want them to sign or fill out a lead form. All it is it's kind of like a questionnaire that new clients can fill that help you qualify that person. If you look in the questionnaire for my agency on my Instagram questionnaire, I have 3 simple questions. One is, what services are you interested in, right? We're a full service creative agency. So we do video production, photography, graphic design, or all of the above. We also offer some other stuff, but we got to keep it brief because it's just Instagram. Second question is, do you need a single project, or are you trying to look for a recurring content, a partner to partner with? And then, what's your budget? With those 3 things, I will more or less have an idea of whether or not I want to work with them or not. Now, if you're new to this and you don't know much about what we're trying to build here, me personally, I'm trying to take on more recurring content clients, right? People who want to work with me, who want me to like share my expertise and help them grow their business in a period from 6 months to a year, right? I want a client that's going to pay me X amount a month for a long period of time, not just one client that's going to be one and done. Okay, so when I get a lead form and it says recurring content, I know, like, for me that's a green flag, because you know I can see that, one, they value a partner, they're not just looking for a Fiverr editor or something like that, right? That's not the kind of work I want to do, right? So this just allows me to see red flags or see green flags before we even have a conversation. Let's say they do fill out a lead form, maybe they don't, maybe they just email you or contact you through email, to which you can have them answer questions regardless, right? Then the second step is you want to do a kickoff call. Once you've already decided that this would be a good client to work with through the lead form or just the emails back and forth or DMs, however you decided to set up that initial inquiry, I think something really cool to add is something outside of written form for you guys to speak, right? So for me, for example, like you saw in the beginning of this video, I actually have a kickoff call with everybody who wants to work with me. Like, I want to get to know the person behind the business, right? I want to ask questions that are going to make sure that we're on the same page. And the purpose of the whole kickoff call is just to establish the correct expectations and really just see if we're going to be a good fit, right? An email might sound good. Like, it might sound really cool, whatever they're talking about. But maybe once you get into a call, you start asking questions, and maybe the budget that they said they had in mind actually isn't true. Maybe you just don't like the person. Maybe they're just weird. Maybe you just don't click with them. Maybe they found you and they thought that you could offer a specific service, or they thought that you could do a specific style of content that you just aren't really good at. And so you find out on the call and decide we're not going to be a good fit. The whole point here is to really hone in on that fit part. Like, is this going to work? Yes or no? Once you're in the kickoff call and it's all going, you've answered all the questions, you were like, yes, you're the person. Usually by the end of the kickoff call, I'll give them some sort of ballpark quote, how much they're looking at paying for everything that we've discussed, right? And the cool thing also about a kickoff call is it gives you the opportunity to upsell a little bit. Someone might have just hit you up to do a video, but through a conversation, you might notice that, like, oh, they want a video, but they actually kind of also need a photo shoot to go along with it. Or maybe, you know, it would really help them. They don't have anybody to post the video. Maybe you can offer social media management as a service or something else. Like, it's a good opportunity to throw in a little more to whatever package you guys are trying to work on. At the end of the call, I usually tell them, like, a ballpark quote. Here's what you're looking at. Is this something that's realistic for you, right? Is there something that you're willing to invest in? And you're either gonna get a yes, let's get it, or a let me think about it, or a I don't know, maybe we can negotiate terms a little bit and work it down. And sometimes I don't even give a number. I just say, okay, I've heard everything that you want. You repeat back what they want on that call. And then you say, I'll send you guys a proposal by the end of the day with a quote for everything you guys are wanting. Now, this is something I've done and I've tested. I used to not say any ballpark quote, no number that makes sense on that kickoff call, because I thought that if I did that, it would kind of scare them away. And I wanted to make sure we at least got to, like, negotiations. But the more I practiced that, the more I realized that, like, having some sort of conversation about money in that call helps a lot with closing the deal. You know, because sometimes if you just send them a PDF or an email with a number, they don't have the opportunity to ask questions, or they'll just outright ignore you. So if it's at all possible, try to have some sort of conversation, feel them out, and more importantly, if it's not meant to be, this is a perfect place to just end the relationship, or maybe recommend somebody else for them, so they don't feel like they're just wasted their time, you know what I mean? But that leads us to our third one, right? So our third part of the onboarding process is to send a proposal. And now this part, we don't even know if they're a client yet, right? They haven't closed. we're still kind of in the negotiation phase, right? I'm gonna show you what my proposal looks like really quick. It's another touch point where you can choose to be a little more professional, right? Where you can jazz it up, show a little bit of your quality. You want to actually condense everything that was in that kickoff call and put it in a document that they can review and really see if they want to make the investment that you're asking them to make. A big part of switching over from freelance to an agency or a legitimate business that isn't just a Cash App request is usually you're gonna wanna send bigger quotes, right? That's kind of the purpose of trying to do something bigger than just freelancing, right? You wanna get paid more. So you wanna make sure that you make the experience as easy as possible for your client to be like, this looks good. Every little thing they did, even when we were just trying to figure out if we wanna work with each other, was perfect. You're going to reiterate everything that you guys talked about in that proposal, and you're gonna package out the services they wanted to do in a digestible form that they can look at, read, and make a decision from, right? Think of it kind of like a pamphlet or a menu when you go to a restaurant, right? Like you just show up to a restaurant and then say what you want, and then that's it. You look at a menu and you kind of decide between options, what's the best pick, and then you choose if, you're on a budget this time and you want to go with this one. Maybe if you're feeling fancy, you get the steak dinner, you know what I mean? That's what the proposal is. So at this point, right, this is another opportunity to maybe splash in a couple more services, to maybe get a little bit more budget out of the client. What I like to do, let's say I close a project and the project is, you just want to do a set of 5 videos, right? 5 videos for Instagram, a campaign. Nike wants to do a campaign of 5 videos, right? Instead of just sending them a quote for 5 videos, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create 3 packages. One package with exactly what they wanted, everything you guys talked about. Another package with everything they wanted plus stuff that maybe they didn't know that they wanted that you felt like would help. Like maybe if they wanted videos and they're just a small startup and they don't know what to make the videos about, you can add a strategy call so you can help them, create, strategize a campaign instead of just using you as a production company. And then a third one is like, well, instead of 5 videos, maybe you'll give them 8 videos, for a little bit more. You just upsell just a little bit. Again, this is an opportunity, again, to show the quality of your business, right? By creating a really good looking proposal. And 2, to maximize their budget and just offer some other options as well. What you really want to make sure you at least get across is you are reiterating what the meeting was, the kickoff call, and you're giving them a quote for the thing you guys talked about doing. That's the bare minimum. So you do that with some sort of PDF file, which is what I've showed you already. A title slide, right, with my logo and their logo. And then I have a recap of the call where I'm literally in paragraph form expressing what they said they wanted. And then the next slides are just the package details. And then at the end, it's just another title slide, and that's it. It's really supposed to be a visual aid for an email that you send them, right? With, it was a great conversation we had. I'm excited to work with you. Let me know if this works. And that's the proposal. Okay, now at this point, the ball is very much in their court, right? The first 3 steps are you doing everything you can to close that client. Everything that happens from here on out is in their hands, right? They can decide to go with one of the packages. They can decide to not go with you whatsoever. This, for me, has proven to be the point where if I'm gonna get ghosted by a potential client, this is usually where it is. They're getting a real solid number. It's not just a ballpark quote, right? So if it's a little more than they were expecting, they might not reply, or they might try to negotiate, right? So this is the 4th part, right? You're gonna negotiate the final price. When you send a proposal, I always like to say, here it is, enjoy it. Depending on the type of person, I might say, please let me know what works. If you have any questions or concerns, I am open to conversating about anything. Then this is the part where you want to negotiate price, right? In this call that I showed you guys at the beginning, that's what happened, right? The quotes that I gave him, it was like a couple $100, a little too much, and we landed on a little bit less, but we closed the project at the ballpark area that I wanted to. In terms of negotiating, right, it's usually going to be an email back and forth. If they're really cool people, they might want to hop on a call again and just talk it out. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but you want to close the deal. If you're getting to the point where you're sending a proposal, you probably kind of want to work with them, and so you want to do everything you can to make it work. But what you don't want to do is undersell yourself or undercut yourself. You have to know what your costs are, what your bare minimum is. And this is why when I send the proposal, it's usually a little more than I think we will close at, right? Because worst case scenario, you guys negotiate down to the number that is your minimum. best case scenario, they say yes to the higher price and you guys are rocking and railroading for more than you thought you were gonna get paid, right? So at this point, like I said, if you've gotten this far, you probably wanna do everything you can to close the deal. For me, where I'm at in my agency, in a new city, building up from scratch, I'm really trying to close as many as I can to get the word out and increase my brand awareness in the city. So that's where I'm at. Maybe if you are more established in your market, you might want to be a little more selective and be a little more cutthroat with your prices. But at this point, if they've responded to your proposal and you guys are talking numbers, try your best to just get that closing number without giving up too much. I usually give myself about a 10 to 15% margin. If I quote a package at like $3,000, I'll be okay closing at 2.5K. You know what I mean? So use that as kind of a reference when you're sending proposals and negotiating, right? Now, this is the part that is super crucial that I have learned recently is super important that I really didn't care too much about. At this point, a year ago, the professionalism kind of fades in terms of like communication for me. Before I really started taking onboarding seriously, the rest of the stuff really ends up being just emails back and forth, Google Drive links, this, that, and the third. It stops being as organized, and this is where changing that has impacted my business a lot. Okay, so you've negotiated on a final price. You guys have agreed via email, phone number, or whatever. You've got it locked in. Now what? Okay, so this is when you draft your onboarding documents. Okay, so what you don't want to do is you get a price. You guys say, okay, let's do it. And then you book a shoot, and then you do the shoot with no documents, like no paper trail of everything you guys have discussed. But I'm considering onboarding documents at this point, right? Everything else was kind of like just communication on the front end to make things as seamless as possible. This is like documents you need to do, right? Number one, you draft up a contract. If you don't have a contract right now, I've made the mistake plenty of times with friends, with random people. I've made the mistake a lot of times of just like trusting the person and being like, okay, let's just do it word of mouth, or let's just do a verbal agreement. No, get a contract, draft a contract, basically stating and covering all bases for this project. If you don't know what this looks like and it's kind of intimidating, you can look up templates. I think on Google Docs, they have templates for like contractor agreements. You want to kind of find one that works for you. If you don't have one, I'm actually working on creating my own set of templates for you guys to use. So go and sign up for the newsletter, subscribe, so you can be one of the first to know when those free documents come out to light. But you want to have a contract in place. You want to cover all your bases. You want to make sure the important things are highlighted and that they're signing it, and this is a legally binding document between the two of you. Secondly, you want to make is invoice. You want to outline and make a professional invoice. I have my own design for an invoice, which I'll show right here, where I kind of just brand it in my font, my logo, all that stuff. And that invoice is going to do two things. It's going to outline per item what they're buying. It's something for records for them to show, for you to show when taxes come around. And two, you're giving them like details on how to pay you. You're gonna wanna receive payment somehow, and you're gonna wanna be specific about how you do it. An invoice is simply something that shows the transactional part of it. It's the money, it's the finance, that's it, right? So you wanna draft that, you wanna draft the contract, and you wanna send these over as soon as possible. Now, let's talk about how do you send these over. And the way that you send these things can also be another touch point of just getting someone excited, like being like, oh, they emailed me, like I got the contract, we're really gonna work, right? A normal, regular person who doesn't care about client experience might just say contract for video, or, you know, invoice for video. What I like to do is I like to put like an emoji to start it off, right? So let's show you this one right here. I do like a little alert emoji, project invoice, content and strategy package, and then the name of my company. So they're like, I'm just imagining if I'm getting this on my phone, like I'm like, oh, sick, like we're getting the ball rolling, right? And then you just keep it brief. The email, anything you need to say, keep it super brief so that it's all in the attached file, right? The invoice, whatever. Don't make this part a boring, ugly part. Like, try your best to make all of these little onboarding moments as fun, as exciting as possible, man. Because like the truth is, if they're trusting you with the vision of their company, like you want them to be excited about that. You don't want them to be nervous. You don't want them to be like bored. You don't want them to like lose track. Like at the end of the day, you're still trying to get to the end of the project timeline, right? So you want to have them like just fiending to get your next point of contact. There's a third item in your onboarding documents that I recently started adding that has been a game changer for my business, and that's giving like a next steps email. Basically, I want people to, when they have to make a payment, I want them to know like what's coming next before they even think about making the payment. Before I even send the invoice and before I even send the contract, I send this one, okay? And I'm gonna show you right here what I say, and I'll block out any details, but right here it says, good morning, blank. Firstly, we'd like to thank you for trusting us with the vision of your business. We're eager to begin creating captivating content that amplifies your brand. Now that we've locked in a rate, let's get right into the project roadmap. So like right after he said, okay, cool, we negotiated via email, like we're gonna close at this place, I'm sending this. And then I'm sending like this graphic that I created with the next 4 steps of the process. Now, there's a lot more in this project that we have that I created for them, but I don't wanna make it too like overwhelming. I make it easy. First step, send the first payment. Part of the package was actually a discovery call where we like guide them through questions that help build their brand identity. It's a strategic service that we offer. And so the next one is schedule discovery call. The one after that is conduct discovery call. And the next one is schedule the production. So actually creating the content. So right here, not only are they like feeling safe, because I just told them like, this ain't my first ordeal, I know exactly what's coming next. It's like the send the first payment feels so minuscule with everything else. And so it kind of incentivizes them to get that done as quickly as possible, because the quicker we get that first thing out of the way, the quicker we're gonna get to the other things, right? And then I just simply outline, I talk about the next steps in the email to kind of go along with that to, you know, expand on anything that I feel like needs to be expanded on. And then I send the invoice, and then I send the contract, right? And this is usually in a series of like literally 10-15 minutes. Like it's not like I'm waiting for them to respond and then sending another thing. I'm blasting them with 3 emails. I'm blasting them with the next steps, I'm blasting them with the contract and the invoice. So like right then and there, I'm gonna get that first initial payment sooner than I would be if all I did was send a Cash App request or something, you know what I mean? And again, it's like you're just leveling up the client experience, man. Like communication is like a really easy way to make any client feel safe and secure with your company. The last part that I will say that I have recently implemented that I feel has changed the way our client experience is at Trinity Tags Creative. I have now a project management template on Notion. So it's a way to manage all of my projects and keep track of where everything is. If you're an agency like we are, right? You are gonna have a lot of clients and you're gonna have a lot of work coming in, a lot of work pending, a lot of work in progress, and you wanna make sure you track all of it. And so I recently found this template and have like messed with it and created it into my own template where I have the 3 clients that I'm currently working with right now, all tracked and traced so that I'm not letting anything fall through the cracks. Like everything we just talked about onboarding was a task in this project management software. You know, and if I didn't outline all of that in the beginning of the thing, I probably would have forgotten to send this or would have forgotten to do this. But having an accountability partner in a project management software like Notion in this way, I think has helped me personally as a solo man trying to build a team, really follow through with everything and make sure that no client is getting treated less like good than any other client, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, that's really all that there is to creating a really seamless and like prestige onboarding experience for a client. Again, like this is the nice to haves that really make a difference in who you're working with, how they speak about you, whether or not you even close deals, whether or not you get return customers, right? This is all so important. And I know that like as creatives, if you're a creative first, like I was, you put these business things off in the back end and like hope that eventually, you know, you'll learn it, or maybe eventually you'll like partner with somebody who can do it. But it's not that difficult. You know, it just takes a little bit of planning on the front end. And once you have it set up and once you've done it once with one client, it's really easy to replicate with other clients. But look, if there's any part in this onboarding thing that you're like, man, I wish he had some sort of downloadable version of like an invoice, a template for like a proposal, or anything like that, outside of me literally showing you, if that's not enough, if you want something that you can actually plug and play, go subscribe to my newsletter, because these are all things that I have in the works and things that I want to add to the community that has decided to subscribe to my newsletter and isn't just subscribed to my YouTube channel. Some people might just be subscribed because they like watching videos, and so I'm not just gonna give free game to everybody. But for those of us who actually want to build something and want to be more professional and want to learn go subscribe to my newsletter, because I'm gonna be dropping all of these things in time and with time. So do that. It's gonna be the first link in the description. If you enjoyed this kind of video and you wanna learn more, I actually have a catalog of like 50 plus videos like this, where I'm just talking to camera, spitting game about all things content creation. But next week, you know, we're back in Miami and we're not traveling for a little minute. So we're gonna get back to it with the vlogs. We're gonna get back to showing you guys the process of working with La Petite Cuisine and Unique. And we're gonna bring you behind the scenes on all of that. The next week, we're gonna have actually a vlog from like Paris, and we're actually gonna talk to my wife, who has her own company where she does wedding films. And we're gonna ask her some questions about how she does it, what it was like. Because if you don't know, well, she shot a wedding at the Ritz Paris, which is like extra bougie. You're so proud of her. She's the best. That's gonna be a lot of game we're gonna spit in the next POV episode coming next week. So make sure you're subscribed for all of those things. If you've been watching or you've subscribed over the last month through the POV series, and you know, you're genuinely interested in me as a person, as a husband, as a father, as an agency owner, and in the future of my agency, thank you so much. It means the world to me. You know, I was talking to, I think, a family member, and I told them, I was like, you know, in the beginning of my channel, I thought the only way to get views and to get cared about is if you just kind of like gave stuff away, gave value, just teach. And if I've learned anything over the last month, is how much more important it is for people to like buy into your story, and you know, keeping everything as authentic as possible. When you're creating videos like I had been for a long time, you're kind of putting yourself up as an expert. And yes, I'm experienced. Yes, I've done this for a long time, so I am in a way, but you're still also kind of, you're just missing an element of relatability that I feel like we've really honed in on with this last series. That has been super fun, not just to actually create, but really rewarding to see the comments of like people like relating to what I have to say, like of my personal stuff. You know, it means a lot to me. And so thank you. We're gonna keep this ball rolling. I really do wish that there was somebody who was talking about the stuff I'm talking about 10 years ago when I started doing this, and there wasn't. There was just Peter McKinnon talking about how to shoot. You know, there wasn't people like giving a glimpse into like the nitty gritty of, you know, content creation and trying to make money doing it and like do it full time while raising a family. Like what? Like it just never existed. So I'm excited to fill that in the marketplace and for you guys to, you know, enjoy it. It's been really cool, right? But anyways, I'm sure if you're watching this by now, you're already subscribed, but if you're not, please subscribe, like the video, watch all the other POV videos, and like, look, if you want to be a better content creator, I have a lot of videos showing you exactly how to be a better sound designer, a better video editor, you know, all these things. Go down the catalog of videos and have fun. But I'll end all this by saying I'll see y'all next week on Building a Creative Agency. And just remember that no matter where you are in your walk, whether you are a small freelancer on Fiverr, literally, or you are a mogul crushing it, just always remember to stay grateful. Peace.